Okay, I've been driving for a day or two now, and uh, if you watched my video I posted earlier of my encounter with the Crocket County Texas Sheriff's Department, uh, that happened a couple hundred miles ago, and I finally decided to pull over and kind of take a break for a second and grab a McDouble or whatever, and sort of think about it and post a follow-up video. If everyone wasn't clear, what happened is I was doing about 80 miles an hour. In fact, it was exactly 80 because I had the cruise set at 80 miles an hour on Interstate 10 in Ozona, Texas, Crocket County. I was on the highway, and there was a Crocket County Sheriff's deputy ahead of me on the highway, and in the fast lane where I was, the left lane, doing less than the speed limit. I think he was doing around 74. Well, I was doing 74 when I passed him, but anyway, I was doing 80. I had the cruise set at 80, and I came up behind him, and I knew he was a sheriff's deputy. I could see for several hundred yards away it was obviously a marked sheriff's deputy unit, but I was doing the speed limit. I wasn't doing anything illegal. In fact, he was breaking the law in the fact that he was in the left lane, driving less than the speed limit and slower than traffic behind him, mainly me and some other vehicles. But I was within the law. So I had no problem pulling up behind him like I would any other driver. Waited for him to yield, which he eventually did. He moved over to the right. He yielded to faster traffic, as he's supposed to. And like I said, I had to slow down as I approached him, and I was passing him in that lane, and I remember looking down to see how fast I was going, and I was going 74. So he was going slightly less than that, maybe 72, 73, whatever. But I wasn't concerned. I hit resume on the cruise control and resumed up to 80 and figured I was continuing about my day. Next thing I know, he pulls behind me and initiates a traffic stop, which was a little befuddling. And the trouble is, I am normally very supportive of police officers. I am not the kind of person who typically distrusts police officers, but the last several years have really, really, really eroded that trust. But still, I'm not the type of person whose first instinct is to immediately start, a video camera. I should have started a video camera, and I should have a dash cam. I've been lazy about getting one. I know I should have one. I know this, so it's really my own negligence for not having one. But he comes up to the window, and I should have started recording right then. And he asked me for my driver's license, and he does the normal, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I said, honestly, no, because I had the cruise control set at 80. Actually, no, my first statement was, the speed limit here is 80, right? And he said, yes, it is. I said, well, I had the cruise control set at exactly 80, so no, I don't know why you pulled me over. He's like, well, I clocked you at 89. I said, well, that's not true. I know for a fact it's not true because I had, like I said, the cruise control was set at 80, so that's really just a number you're pulling out of your ass. I said, in fact, you were going less than the speed limit in the passing lane. You do realize that, right? And he said, yes. He goes, I know that. I said, yeah, because you were doing I was doing 74 when I passed you. And I never went above 80. He's like, well, I clocked you at 89. I said, no, you didn't. That's just a number you're making up. And at that point, I probably should have been recording, but again, I didn't expect, at worst, I expected a speeding ticket, which, recording or not recording, other than his admission that he was going less than the speed limit, wouldn't have really proved anything. And he asks me for my proof of insurance, and I say, okay, yeah, fine, it's in my glove compartment, which is right here. Let me grab it real quick. So I open the glove compartment, and I pull out the papers that are there, and I pull it out, and I have it in my hand. And I don't know if I have it right in front of me here. But I had a stack of papers, the typical sort of stuff that you keep in your glove compartment. and I'm pulling through looking for my documents for the car. I come across the registration, and I know the insurance isn't going to be far away because I come across the registration, and I just casually, as I'm looking through this, I mentioned to him, I said, "Are you one of those departments that can just look it up online?" And he said, "Yes, we are." I said, "Oh, okay, that's fine. Let me just find it here real quick here." And he's like, "What insurance company are you with?" I said, "New Horizon Insurance Company." And he's like, "Okay, I'll be right back." And he walked away. I didn't think it was an issue. I thought he was looking it up online. In the meantime, almost immediately upon him walking away, I find my insurance, which I have right here. I think I have it right here somewhere. Right here in my hand. So I find my insurance card, and I have it ready for him when he comes back. I wasn't expecting it to be an issue because if he looks up online, it's fine. He comes back to the window and he says, "You're getting a couple citations today. One is for speeding and the other is for not having proof of insurance on you." And I said, "What do you mean that?" I said, "I have it right here." He's like, "Well, you didn't hand it to me when I asked." I said, "Well, it was in my glove compartment. I had to get it out. You walked away before I could find it." And he's like, "Well, you didn't have it ready when I asked you for it. And Texas law requires that you have it." I said, "Well, I do have it. It's right here." And it was at that point that I realized he was just sort of making stuff up as he went along, and was not being professional because he was lying about not having proof of insurance. I know he could look it up online, and I have proof of it right here. And I said, "Well, if you are going to accuse me of not trying to give you my insurance, I would like to see your supervisor, please." And he said, "No, that's not going to happen." I said, "Okay, at this point, I don't feel comfortable dealing with you. I want to speak with your supervisor. I want you to call a supervisor out." He's like, "Well, we don't have one. I'm out here alone today." I said, "Okay, well then have dispatch call them at home, call your sheriff, whoever, and get them out here because you're literally lying and making stuff up, and I don't feel comfortable dealing with you." And his response was, "Well, if you're going to see my supervisor, you're going to be seeing him in handcuffs." And at that point, I realized, okay, I need to start recording. That's not my first instinct, and but I said, okay, you know what? I need to record this. So I very quickly started recording on the camera, and made it clear that I had my insurance in my hand, and I was trying to give it to him. That he did not give me a legitimate opportunity to give it to him. Yet was citing me for it. It was essentially a lying on a police report, and he accused me of not wanting to sign the ticket. And I very clearly said, if you listen to the video, I tell him several times, "I'm not refusing to sign your ticket. I will sign the ticket, but I'm asking that you call your supervisor." And he kept saying no. And he tried to say that I didn't give it to him. I called him out. I said, no, I did. You just weren't patient enough to let me pull it from the stack of papers. You walked away. He denied he did it. Then he tried to say, "Well, you didn't hand it to me the instant I asked you for it." And of course, nobody can instantly produce a document. You've got to retrieve it, hand it to him. I also clarified, I made him say that, yes, you just threatened to put me in cuffs for asking for your supervisor. He goes, "Yes, I said I would take you down in cuffs." I wish I'd recorded the entire encounter. And from now on, I'm going to. My first step is going to get a dash cam. And I'm going to record all encounters from beginning to end. Because I've learned over the past several years that cops are just not trustworthy. They are not. Cops are corrupt. They will lie. They don't care. They absolutely don't care. And I know people are going to be like, "Oh, well, the majority of cops are overwhelmingly good," and I used to be one of those people, so yeah. But look, just like the overwhelming majority of Americans are not going to get COVID, that doesn't mean that you don't take steps to protect COVID. You wear a mask, you social distance. Just because the overwhelming majority of you aren't going to get COVID doesn't mean you don't take precautions. And that's what I need to do. I am going to be ordering a dash cam. I'm going to be recording it constantly at all times. But I'm also going to make a point of recording with my cell phone all interactions with cops, because they lie. These last several years have proven that they lie. At best, they're lazy. They don't do their jobs. And when they don't do their jobs, they lie to cover it up. But I had an officer literally lie on a citation to say that I didn't provide him proof of insurance, when you can clearly see on the video me offering him my proof of insurance. He admits that he walked away because I didn't have it instantly, or exactly the instant he asked. And I made a reasonable statement. I said, okay, let me get it from this stack of papers and I'll give it to you. I never at any point refused to give him my insurance or failed to give him my insurance. He just wasn't patient enough to wait the 2 seconds to let me get it from the stack of papers, because his ego wouldn't fucking let him. He pulled an imaginary speed out of his ass because his ego was bruised that I passed him doing 74. Most people are afraid to pass a cop. I'm not afraid to pass a cop, especially if I'm legal. I know I'm fucking legal. The speed limit there is 80. I had the cruise set at 80. And when I passed him, I was only doing 74. But his butthurt cop ego can't handle that. That's really what the issue with cops is 90% of the time, is their fucking ego. I don't think they necessarily set out to be corrupt. I don't think they necessarily think, okay, I'm going to go out and arrest these people illegally. But what they can't stand is their ego being hurt. They don't like being challenged. He didn't like the fact that I passed him doing 74. He expected me to genuflect to his authority and sit there and do 72 or 73 like an asshole, where the speed limit's 80, just to not pass him and embarrass him. That's what the issue was. He was embarrassed, and his ego was bruised. And then he was further bruised. His ego was critically fucking injured. He should have dialed 911 and reported a critically injured ego, because he didn't like the fact that I challenged him on the facts and what he said and did, and asked for his supervisor, which everybody should have the right to do. Everybody should have the right to say, I want your field supervisor out here now. Don't let them do we don't have a supervisor, like his bullshit. We don't have a supervisor on the weekends. Well, fuck you, I don't care. So I will be filing a complaint. I went down and I showed the video. I did get the deputy chief, or chief deputy, I think his title is, at the county. Came in from his home on a Saturday to look at the video. He said, yeah, I have some questions about this stop, so I will be following up on it. So, kudos to him, and I hope he does. I have his business card. I'm going to be following up with it. But the deputy chief in Crocket County seemed like a pretty straight guy. I hope he's truthful when he says he's going to follow up on it. But this guy was being very, just in the minute and a half I had him on tape, you can see just how unprofessional he's being. But yeah, if I can get his supervisor on a Saturday, he certainly could have. He could have called down to dispatch and said, this guy wants my supervisor. But no, his ego wouldn't let him do it. So what I'm going to do, aside from the fact that I'm kind of pissed about this right now, so I'm not going to make any sort of emotional choices, but these cops need to be held accountable. And the only way you can do this is with dash cam, recording every counter, documenting everything. Know your rights. Go on YouTube and the internet and do searches and look up the law of what officers can and can't do during a traffic stop, what your rights are during a traffic stop, what your rights are in terms of asking for a supervisor if you don't think they're being professional. Recording them. Get a dash cam, get a cell phone, and start recording every encounter. I've seen too many cases where cops just create violations out of thin air like he did for me, and judges don't want to believe it until they see it. They will automatically assume the officer is credible. Regardless of if they actually are or not, they will give them that assumption of credibility. No court will ever take your word against an officer. So I'm going to get a dash cam. I'm going to start recording every cop encounter with my cell phone as well, so that I have, multiple sources of video. But I'm going to start holding these cops accountable. I'm no longer going to be in that camp where, most officers are good. No, fuck you. Fuck you, cops. fuck you. The past couple years, I've encountered too many corrupt and lazy officers. So, you want my advice? Go get a dash cam. Start knowing your rights. Look up what the rights are, what you have in terms of remaining silent, in terms of what you have to say to an officer, what you can and can't say to an officer, whether or not you can record them. Like, for instance, find out, is there a standard? How quickly is someone allowed to give their insurance cards to an officer? How much time are they allotted? Are you allotted a reasonable time? Are you allotted a specified time? Because in this case, the guy allowed me like 2 seconds. He did not give me a reasonable opportunity to present my insurance to him, and then he cited me for it. So fuck that crooked cop. His name is Hugh Cook, Deputy Hugh Cook from the Crocket County, Texas Sheriff's Office. He's a lying, corrupt fucking cop. Now, hopefully his deputy chief, I'm sitting in my car, but let me see if I have his name on it. He gave me his business card. This is it. Arnulfo Bravo, Chief Deputy. See if you can read that. And it's reversed, so maybe you can't read it. But Arnulfo Bravo. Their office, their phone number is 325-392-2661. Don't be afraid to call these assholes and say, what the fuck are your deputies doing? We see him on video being an asshole. And hopefully this is a good guy. I don't know him. He seemed like he was a pretty straight shooter. Hopefully he was being honest. And then he will, at the very least, take some corrective action with this deputy. But yeah, my point of this is get a camera. Get a dash cam. Record every encounter. Don't trust the cops anymore. Just don't. Don't do it. Take my word for it. I don't want to go into details necessarily, but I've had numerous negative encounters with police over the past several years where they just made shit up. And whenever I call them for service, they never want to be helpful. They never want to fucking help me. But when they need it, they'll just make shit up. But yeah, no. Crockett County, fuck you.